What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Mind Time, the mini-series on mental health presented by It's All Her. My name is Amy Louise Ruffle, and I'll be your host as we talk to some of our favorite people to celebrate Mental Health Month. Now, before I introduce today's guest, I must remind you that I'm not a doctor, and neither is our guest. Although he could have been busy in lockdown, I really don't know. We'll find out. But we're merely speaking from our own personal experience, and for any tailored specific advice, we encourage you to seek out professional help, as there is so much support and assistance out there available to you. Now that all the housekeeping is done, I am very excited to introduce today's guest. He is a comedian, a host. I think he's on TikTok now, which is deeply upsetting, and we must... You haven't been introduced yet. Shush. Sorry. We got to talk about this whole TikTok thing. He's my old podcast bud, Mr. Nazeem Hussain.
Woo! You forgot Professor of Epidemiology.
Oh shit! You have been busy in lockdown. I've been busy.
I have. So if you got any questions about COVID and the numbers, I'm here to provide that expert opinion.
Is it because everyone fell in love with Brett Sutton last year, and you're like, I got to get a cushion with my face on it?
Well, I'm starting to get some grey hairs in the beard, and he is what do you call it? Salt and pepper, grey knight, whatever. He's the guy. I don't know though. Lately, he's,
Silver Fox. That's it.
Silver Fox. Yep. So but I think. Scientists, their time in the sun is expiring because we're almost, it seems, on the other side of this, closer to the other side of this pandemic.
Well, the good thing is, Naz, that scientists will always, I guess, be in fashion, because if not this, like the planet's on fire, there'll be something else. I feel like they're always going to be hot to a degree.
So the planet's on fire and they're hot. Yeah, it's so true. Yep, science is coming back, but it's also... Yeah, it's becoming, people are, the whole, do you believe facts or not? Mainstream media is just full of lies. Like, I don't know. I don't know if people are so trusting of authority anymore. But
right. Yeah. It's wild, because I just keep coming back to, imagine thinking you're smarter than a scientist. I'm so happy to trust someone that's 10,000 times smarter than I am.
Yeah, well, at least someone that's put in the days studying and learning and then passing exams and applying for a job in science, getting it, maintaining that, paying tax on a job where you do science every day. I'd respect that person more than someone else who just scrolls on their phone on the toilet and leaves a comment in the section.
They're always on the toilet.
Exactly. Well, it's me too. That's when I reply back in rage also on the toilet.
What a delightful time of your day.
I know. Oh my God. What do you mean times of the day?
That's true. Anyway.
Yeah. What an intro.
Nazi, we start this podcast by asking everybody the same question. Every guest the same question. Wow, Amy's doing well today. Which is, how are you? But not the how are you in fine, thanks, how are you? You've already answered without even thinking about it. Genuinely, how are you in this moment?
I am well, and as we discussed just before we pressed record, probably a general feeling of exhaustion. We've been, the light is at the end of the tunnel, but we've been walking for a long time and we're all tired. I'm feeling a bit tired. The monotony, I'm used to it. The patterns of life are familiar to me at the moment. The good thing about lockdown, or one of the good things I think you can take away, is that your world becomes smaller, so you become familiar with every corner of it. But after a while, that's exhausting, just doing the same thing and trying to find spark in the things that, are way too familiar.
Totally. And I feel like we've had the light at the end of the tunnel, or the carrot dangled, whatever analogy you want to use, for so long that I'm look, until it's there and it's real to me, I don't care anymore. Yeah,
until I'm literally in the light, basking in the light, I've still got it. It's like when... I've told you about this personal trainer of mine. Even when he's just only 5 more. And even though it sounds small, and in my head I'm like, it's only 5. I'm like, I hate it. I hate the last reps.
Yeah, it's exhausting. So many.
But I'm sure there is growth as a result of, the pain we're enduring now. I'm sure there is some benefit for our psyche in the long term, perhaps, or maybe there's scarring. I don't know, but
right, yeah.
But
is it resilience or is it damage? Who knows?
I know. Well, it's kind of hard to, like going back to the PT analogy. You only grow your muscles if you take it to exhaustion and to the limit of what it can ordinarily do. So I don't know. I think we're all been pushed beyond what we're comfortable with and asked to do what we think we can do, and we all, well, many of us are making it through, and it feels uncomfortable. But maybe there's growth. Like maybe in a few years we'll look back and go, wow, what a period that was. That taught me X, Y, and Z. Those lessons are hard to take away right now because we're in it. But but yeah,
like yes, I'm all for growth, but at some point I would also be happy to just like be stagnant, not have to be like growing and resilient, of just be like the day was easy and that was it.
Yeah, I didn't sign up for this course, but we're all doing it. So I don't know what P's equal degrees, and I just want to pass or just get there. And we're literally maybe only a week, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks away from almost some semblance of normality in Melbourne, anyway. But even that seems like a long way away.
Yeah, I agree. Like 3 weeks might as well, in my head currently, be like 5 months, because it all feels unobtainable and like, you know, when they're like, it's just a 5-day lockdown and then it's 2 weeks. I'm like, I kind of don't trust you with time at this point. So we'll see when we get there.
But also, what is it that we're actually hanging out for? Like, specifically, I think there's a few, like, but I think the idea of lockdown ending seems bigger than what it actually is in reality. Like, really, what is it? It's probably the ability to visit your family and friends in their homes.
No, it's to go to the races.
And the race. Yeah, that's so true. I can't wait for that. So I got my hat ready. But, you know, and go to the shops. But, you know, I remember like the other couple of times when lockdown has ended, we've had a bit of freedom. I've gone to the shops like, you know, just euphorically walked into a mall and go, oh my God, we can shop again. And then just realized, oh yeah, I don't really like shopping.
Yeah, I don't want to be here.
Yeah. I think it's just having that option on the table is exciting.
I don't need to do a thing, but I just need to know that I can do it.
I think that's what it is. I think it's just the psychology of, having your liberty back.
Yeah. Well, speaking of psychology, perfect segue into what this whole podcast is about, which is about everyone's experience with mental health. So prior to the last 18 months, is that something that has appeared in your life or someone in your life? What's your relationship to mental health been?
Yeah, you know, I feel like talking about mental health is something that I feel comfortable with, and I feel like I've talked about mental health and the importance of talking about mental health more than I've experienced deteriorating mental health, except for the last few months, I reckon. Right. The last few months I've felt like I've started to experience the stuff that I've heard talked about and that I myself have talked about, and it's almost like having to put into action some of the things that we talk about. So
what's changed, do you think, in the last couple of months, and then what were you experiencing?
I think it's just, you know, it's probably it's the straw that, I wouldn't say broke the camel's back, because I feel like I am still healthy enough mentally to get on with life, but I felt the weight of a deteriorating mental health. A death in the family, which I've told you about. You know, my father passed away only a couple of months ago, less than 2 months ago, from COVID. The duration of lockdown and just kind of having to, you know, trudge through that. I guess it just starts to get to you at a point. Also, I think probably since my father's passing, just hearing and seeing people talk about vaccination and just the small things that we miss out on as a result of lockdown, and kind of making this whole pandemic about the individual as opposed to it being a community or a sacrifice for a greater good, which is understandable, but those sorts of things have started to get to me much more than they ever have. And I'm not normally the sort of person that feels confrontational, but I've felt more confrontational online than I've ever felt before. I haven't actually acted on those impulses, but I've definitely felt like rage towards comments online and people who I know online who are saying irresponsible things. Then also seeing some of the effects of I've seen people who have been vaccine hesitant or maybe anti-vaxxers now end up in ICU, and going on their Facebook pages and seeing comments from people I know and other people encouraging the person not to take the vaccine, and now wondering whether they take any responsibility for their words. Like, those sorts of thoughts have occupied my mind a lot, and have probably been the result of much of my exhaustion of late. But,
It's sort of adding an extra layer on top of what is already such a stressful time, and then for you to have such a personal experience with it, you're already at a low reserve. You have that grief and trauma to deal with, and then when people are sort of making a decision that is pretty selfish because it's for the individual rather than for the collective good, it's really hard not to be frustrated by that.
Absolutely. Like, COVID and the pandemic has definitely been a news story, and for me personally, has been something that we've been talking about, and it is in many ways abstract. Apart from lockdown and having to obviously abide by the laws that have been handed down to us by state government and federal government, etc. Losing work, it hasn't felt too personal in the health aspects of the whole thing. But my dad passing away as a result of it has personalized the whole thing in ways that I never obviously expected. So now hearing news stories for me feels very personal. I sort of view it through that lens, and it's kind of hard to look at it in any other way. So, I guess ordinarily when you're dealing with grief, things remind you're reminded of that person because of things that are very personal, and I don't know. You're not as frequently reminded.
Yeah.
Or having to deal with the grief in different. Yeah, I just feel like this pandemic is just like a constant reminder. And
totally. If someone you knew passed away, I don't know, at a theme park, for lack of a better example, you probably wouldn't go to a theme park every single day and remind yourself. And so every second you look at the news or whatever, you're seeing such a stark reminder of a really horrible thing.
And it's also if someone that you love passed away at a theme park, your friends and family or people on the news, if people wouldn't talk about theme parks so insensitively, because they know that Amy has someone who she loves that passed away tragically at a theme park. So they'd be sensitive when they talk about it. But it's not the case when someone that has passed away from COVID. People have the strongest of opinions about COVID, and they're not always selfless. They're very ugly. Some people deny the existence of it. It's the whole thing is just so it's not triggering is a word that we overuse, but it is definitely quite triggering to just have to constantly think about the passing of someone near and dear to me.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people in Australia have been so fortunate to not know someone that has even got sick, let alone lost their life, because in general the death rates have been so much lower than so many other places in the world. But that does, I think, have a level of arrogance towards the disease because they haven't seen the firsthand impact of it. And, that was, I guess, why we're so slow with the vaccine too, because it was we're fine. We got rid of it in this country. We don't need it. And then it was oh shit. We still do.
Yeah. It's like, we have the entitlement or the luxury of life to be able to just choose whether we want something that's life-saving.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, all those sorts of, thoughts have been obviously making this last few months more difficult than I have, than the months prior. But I feel like I am still I'm me. I'm the sort of person that verbalizes everything, except for this. I have never actually spoken about my dad passing because of COVID, because I feel like talking about it politicizes my dad's passing, because COVID is it's very political and it is there's a bit of a culture war going on when we talk about it, but.
Which is crazy at the end of the day. He is a person and a life, and his experience shouldn't be politicized because
or defined by this thing, that everyone's got strong views about. So as I say, so I talk about stuff a lot, and I feel like I'm always out with most of my emotions, and I talk my friends' ears off. So I think I'm definitely aware of how I'm feeling because I can hear myself as I'm talking, and my friends, people around me are often very aware. So that seems to be something that has helped me.
Yeah, so that sort of naturally leads into what I wanted to ask next, which was like, given that the circumstances externally have been really, really difficult, what are some of the things that you're doing to try and navigate that time? Because it's amazing to have an awareness. That's like step number one. I guess like a lot of people aren't even aware of what's going on in their head, but then being aware is one thing. And then like, what do you do to then combat it?
Well, definitely, knowing, well, I think before talking, talking it all out, I feel like it's important to know who around you, loves you and that you love, and has your best interests at heart. And I feel like once you can identify who your unit is, as my wife puts it, she has, I think knowing who your unit is important, because then you can, you can really trust them with your feelings and your, the contents of your heart, what your doubts are, what your insecurities are, because you know that like, you're being heard by a worthy audience, or someone that is going to treat your words and your thoughts and your concerns with the weight and sensitivity and love and care that it deserves. Yeah. And once you know who those people are, then just go for gold. Just let it all out. That's what I found worked for me.
And I know the tank.
just like, all right, you love me. All right, here we go. So that's absolutely worked for me, and works for me, because it's not like you do it once and then you're done.
Yeah. If only.
Yeah, but I think if you don't, in the absence of people around you that you're comfortable with talking to, and maybe you're just not the sort of person that talks it out, I feel like, well, you definitely need to get it out. And I think if, writing has at times also helped me when I felt too nervous or embarrassed to talk about my problems or my thoughts or my doubts, just writing it out, whether, on paper with a pen or literally on your phone in notes, just work like 5-10 words to just get your thoughts out, or a thought out, or on your laptop, or email to yourself, but just sort of get it out of your head.
Yeah.
Not that it doesn't then revisit your mind, but at least it's somewhere out there that you can look at and revisit later and go, oh, did that make sense? I think it did. I think also like the emotion sort of leaves the thought once you've typed it out or written it out, and you can sort of see it for what it is.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like things can get so big in your head and just go round and round. Whereas if you put it out into the reality, however that is, whether it's like words or writing it down, then there is power in releasing it from your head, and then power in just seeing like, oh, these are just 5 words, and it's a little more manageable than just this manic mess in your mind.
Yeah, totally. And, I think probably in the last few years, I've started to appreciate how mammalian we are. We're just animals. Our brains are soft. And we are way more emotionally led and driven than we probably appreciate day to day. We are, yes, we're rational and we write in sentences with full stops and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, we make decisions emotionally. We're affected by emotions. We're affected by people around us more than we think we are, which is why marketing is such a huge thing, because we're so subtly, indirectly, directly, covertly influenced by things around us, whether we see it and appreciate it or not. So once you write things out or get things out or say things to people, you might be able to see the reality versus the emotion of it, and the emotion of it. So, get it out.
I think that's such a good idea. And also like choosing, like you said, who to get it out to, because I think talking is always good, but vulnerability is also something that has to be like earned, because it is a big trust thing. So it's like picking the people that you have, and there are also those services like Lifeline and Beyond Blue that they might not be your unit, but they are trustworthy and private.
And in many ways, like
I'm using the wrong word.
No, I know what you mean. Like someone that is trusted, or like I feel like in many ways, and sometimes actually, I have found with friends, I've encouraged them, and I don't know if this is the right or wrong advice, but I've encouraged them to maybe just to maybe engage a psychologist or a counselor to call up one of these helplines, because it can also, if you're not careful, especially if the thoughts and concerns or the doubts you have in your mind relate to the person that is your unit, maybe speak to a professional, help them, let them help you understand your own thoughts and your own feelings and fears, and then you can be a better person for yourself, and also for the person that you're in a relationship with, or whether it's a friend or a family member or your partner. So yeah, I think in many ways a professional, someone that's external to you, can be more helpful because they're literally there showing up to hear you. So
yeah, they have to listen.
They have to listen.
Yeah,
and they're trained to be able to, they're professionals at listening to your shit. So don't, and it's not shit, but it is, you should feel no judgment from some random person.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes distance from your core crew is good too, because they provide a perspective that's not defined by emotion and like love for you.
Yeah, absolutely. You can give him a fake name if you, it's just like
Nazeem Hussain.
This is Jeremy Fernandez. I work at ABC News. I didn't really ask you that, Jeremy, but anyway.
Nazi, I know that you have to rush, so I have one last final question for you. Most important question of all time.
No, I've got a bit of time. Sorry.
Well, maybe I just want to talk about this. I just wanted to really move the ball along so I think we can get to my favorite question.
I think we can go 10 minutes, by the way, so I'll just tell them, it's a little dumb idiots, I'll just say 2:50.
And James, we're leaving all of this in.
G'day, James. You fucking sexy guy.
We love you. We miss you.
Love you.
This makes no sense to it. James is the audio engineer.
If you're keeping that in.
James, I'm definitely keeping this in. I'm embracing the imperfections, baby.
Yeah, the thought that just crossed my mind is like, I wonder whether James has gotten a haircut. Not that he needs one, but I just wonder whether he's just done something real radical with his hair, like gotten a fade on one side. What do you reckon?
That his 3-year-old child did?
Yeah, I reckon that'd be the next new thing. Like, oh, this is just a haircut my 3-year-old gave me. Oh, wow.
Right.
Don't even care.
Yeah. Oh, you went to a salon? Like, that's going to become a disgusting thing?
You pay someone.
Or there's like black market haircuts where it'll be like in a back alley going to get your hair done.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're all becoming like, exposed brick barber type, Anyway.
That's true. And then I wouldn't have to wear this cap like you can see because I'm trying to hide the shame that is my own hair.
Really? Your hair, the rest of it looks very presentable.
Thank you. Smoke and mirrors.
Which is like 90% of the hair that's exposed. Anyway.
Yeah, but it's that top 10 that really will get you. Anyway, my question.
Yep.
What's your favorite dessert of all time?
Ooh. Oh my goodness. Don't make me answer. This is a tip. I am a sweet tooth. All right, last night. Oh my God. I forgot what it's called. It's a Lebanese thing. So basically it's the one with the clotted cream, like cream. I don't know. It's called. It sounds gross. Clotted cream. Yeah. Clotted. It's the cream of the milk that they just keep boiling over. I don't know. Anyway.
Right.
It's like, it looks like a spring roll. Inside it's like yum cheese, and it's got like syrup on the top. Oh my God. I've got to get you something. I have to send some. I've made it sound disgusting. People that know what I'm talking about, you probably know the name of it.
You've piqued my interest because I'm intrigued to know how there is cheese in this dessert.
Okay, have you had knafe?
I don't
know. Sick. This is where we're going to go, though. We're going to have to go have some knafe when we come out of lockdown. Yes.
Okay, great.
It's Lebo. It's also Palestinian. It's in the Middle East. But yeah, I like anything sweet. I've been having a lot of mango lately. Which is my healthy dessert. But others just this is a tough. Tim Tams dipped in Nutella. Oh.
Naz!
That's just a go-to cupboard dessert.
That's hectic.
It's a heart attack. It's a heart attack in a minute.
I'm on board with that. I love the double-layered approach.
Seriously, if you try it, make sure you've got health insurance before you give it a go.
Great, perfect. Yeah. Well, that's my afternoon sorted. So thank you so much. I'll take a little trip to the store and then I'm going to come back and play that game.
And buy some bigger clothes then.
Oh, that ship sailed, babe. Oh, well, thank you for doing this, Nazi. I really, really appreciate it.
You.
And we are thinking of you and the entire family. You've really been through the absolute ringer in the last couple of months.
Thanks, Amy, and thanks for letting me just talk it out.
It's my favorite thing in the world to talk to you.
Aww.
And we'll be dropping more Mind Time episodes across Mental Health Month. So watch out for those new episodes. And in the meantime, there are plenty of other conversations on the It's All Her podcast network, as well as some great content on the It's All Her website at itsallher.com. I feel like I said It's All Her 7,000 times.
That's good. You're doing the right job of plugging.
That's true. And if you do want to vent and get those thoughts out of
Let
your
me
head,
guess. You go to itsallher.com.
where we will link you to Lifeline and Beyond Blue.
All right, okay, fair enough.
And those numbers are 13 11 14 and 1300 224 636. We love you. Bye bye.
Love you.